the new traditional for senior living. My name is Matthew Hager. I am the marketing manager here at Bluespire Marketing, and I'll be moderating today's presentation. Bluespire provides strategy, technology, and content marketing solutions for organizations in regulated industries like senior living, financial services, and healthcare. Today, we're proud to feature Amy LeGrant and Greg Lippitz. I'll introduce today's speakers and then turn the ball over to them. Amy LeGrant is a leading gerontology professional with over 15 years of experience marketing to baby boomers, seniors, and family caregivers. Prior to her role at Bluespire Marketing, Amy led all marketing initiatives for Virtual Health, a telehealth and family caregiving integration company. Before, Amy led strategy at multiple mature marketing and consulting agencies such as Continuum Crew, JWT Boom, and AgeWave, where she helped drive the overall business approach, marketing plans, and executions for clients such as Del Monte Foods, Axe Retirement Community, AARP, and Stewart Enterprises. Prior to her advertising agency days, Amy worked for AARP in legislative affairs and Marriott Senior Living in sales and marketing. She holds a bachelor's degree in gerontology, the study of aging, at UCSD, is a certified gerontologist and a licensed RFCE administrator, and is in the final stages of completing her master's in social anthropology at UC Berkeley. She serves on multiple committees for organizations such as Leading Age, ASA, and GSA. Greg Lippitz, Bluespire's Senior Director for Digital Strategies and Analytics, has roughly a decade of experience serving up the latest in digital strategy and cross-channel analytics, including but not limited to search engine optimization, pay-per-click marketing, email marketing, social media marketing, on-site analysis and analytics, including conversion funnels and deep insight analysis, and e-commerce optimization. His key goal is to increase customer revenue by applying this knowledge. Speakers today will start with an overview of past and current trends related to behaviors of seniors online, and then move into a discussion of why digital is a must-have for an effective marketing strategy. Then Amy and Greg will discuss the role of adult children play in decision-making and explain how adult children engage online. Finally, we'll show examples of what is being done digitally before moving into final thoughts and Q&A. All phone lines have been silenced, but you can ask questions or reach us with any concerns using the chat or question function online. When you close out today, you'll have the opportunity to take a survey about today's presentation. We value your feedback and encourage you to participate. After the webinar, we'll post the recording, slides, links, and highlights from today's webinar on our blog. You will also get another chance to take the survey on the presentation. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Bluespire's Amy LeGrant.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to start off the presentation doing a little bit of level setting around seniors and online. As we all know that there's a reoccurring trend of more and more seniors every day going online. Matt, you can go to the next slide. So these recent studies have been done. The last 6 in 10 seniors, 59% report using the internet, and that actually has been an increase of 6 percentage points from 53% in 2012. So one of the things that we've seen is as people are, as our younger generations are aging into the 65+ population, we have really seen that older adults are actually increasing online. Just remember back in 2008, just 35% of older adults were internet users. So this is definitely a trend. It can only go up. Next, Matt. So this slide just shows you a little bit around kind of where that trend is going. You'll see that the adults 18+ is the dark blue and 65+ is the lighter blue. So of course they're still trending a little bit lower, but as you can see that trend is not leveling off as much as it is with those younger populations, that it's on just a steady increase. So actually, what are seniors doing online? Using search engines is the highest percentage of what they're doing. Shopping for products and services is second. Reading news or trying to find information is third. And then actually visiting social networking sites. And then next is watching videos. So as you have, if you've worked with our group before, you'll know that we always talk about how important from a marketing perspective a search engine campaign is in the marketing mix for a digital strategy. So as you can see, that is kind of our top area of what they're doing online. We actually prior to this, we're actually sharing an interesting statistic of actually visiting social networking sites is actually the most, the highest percentage of what people are doing online. Of course, this is across all age groups. So that is overtaking some of the less traditional activities of gambling and searching for information or checking email. So Matt, you can go to the next one. So as we just discussed, search being the area where most people, what they're doing online. So 85% of search users take action as a result. We know that search is actually a very need-driven type of marketing where when you are actually on a search engine, you can look at your normal occurrences of what you're doing online. You're usually seeking something out or in the need of something. So we see a very high correlation with search where they actually are going to do something next. So when they do find the results that they're looking for. So the first is actually visiting a retailer or a store, or talking about something that they learned from the internet is what they're doing second. And then they're sharing search results with others. And then also talking more favorably about a topic or interest. So as you can see, it's driving possible sales and conversions, but then it's also really being a place where people are getting their information and actually using that information to talk about a product or service.
And if you want to kind of relate this to the real world, essentially what seniors are doing is they're searching for that big screen TV online or searching for that big commerce product and then going to Best Buy to physically be able to see it and touch the product and take action on it. So if we take this and we kind of look at it in our industry, it's the same as them searching for our product and then going and then making an RSVP or visiting our community if that happens to be our product.
Great point. So then directly correlating some of this information, how people are actually looking for senior living. A lot of us know, working in the industry, that referrals are still really a top area of people looking at senior living. So our top area is word of mouth. But to the point that Greg was just making, people are doing information seeking around senior living on the internet, and that's sitting at the second level of 36%. So we definitely know that they are seeking information out, that where they're going, and we especially know this with the adult children, that the next place that they're going after talking to their friends or finding information out from another source is the internet. So going on to the next area, one of the other things that we talk about is a lot around email. So we definitely know that they're going online, they're searching things out via search engines, but what is actually happening in their inboxes? So this slide just shows a little bit of information about what people are doing. Are they opening, are they reading emails from real retailers? And when we talk retailers, we will make a correlation to the senior living industry as well. So pretty much, are they opening promotional emails? As you can see, our 65 plus, which we've noted here in orange, is actually, you would think that they maybe are not, with all of the spam laws, that means that they are signing up for emails, that they are actually opening and actually reading them. Pretty much in line with the rest of the age groups that we would consider are probably reading or taking action from these types of emails. One of the things that we've noticed just in the senior living industry is we see a very high open rate of people who have actually engaged or asked for your emails, in some instances almost 30%. And then one of the other things that we see, and I think this relates to retail and also to our industry, is that when they do finally respond to that email, we've seen that they actually are further down in the sales funnel. So they may be taking action more quickly because they've been kind of lurking at you on the internet and then possibly lurking via the emails that they're receiving.
Right. They've been engaged the whole time. You've been creating touch points with them by sending them these emails, even though you don't actually ever see these touch points because they're not responding to you. It's not a direct line of communication, but regardless, it's communication with the potential prospect. So let's talk a little bit about some other trends that we're seeing in the senior space. One of the things I want to talk about is social media use among seniors. Despite what a lot of people kind of say, we know that 56% of online adults 65 plus are using social media. And that's a 12% increase over 2013. Sorry, and that was Facebook. 21% use LinkedIn, partially because a lot of them may be retired. 17% use Pinterest, and only 10% use Twitter. So that means if you're thinking about leveraging a social media effort or creating a social media effort, really focusing it on Facebook, leveraging your content on Facebook, and potentially maybe not using Pinterest or not using Twitter or not using LinkedIn, or using those as kind of secondary tactics, might give you the most bang for your buck, especially because we don't really want to be duplicating the content. So in terms of website usability, we've noticed a really impressive trend of seniors being able to use websites that are more Web 2.0 and Web 3.0 based. So in a recent Nielsen study, what they did was they gave a task to a group of seniors and said, all right, well, do this task and let's see how long it takes you, and also what's your success rate. And they found that 55.3% of the seniors now succeeded, and it only took them 7 minutes and 49 seconds, where in 11 years ago, only 52% succeeded, but it took them 9 minutes and 58 seconds, and they also made 4.6 errors. So really what this says is seniors are kind of have to start conforming and are beginning to conform to website usability, and they're really starting to learn how to use the internet without it even having to be senior friendly. The device ownership among baby boomers and seniors has changed quite a bit. Not only do they own a desktop, 65% own a laptop, 54% own a smartphone, and 46% own a tablet. The tablet includes Kindles. So really, if you think about it, more and more and more seniors are inclined to look at your website and your content online, or search for you online, and not only when they're just kind of sitting at home. To kind of link this back to what Amy was talking about with the emails, if you think about it, 54% own a smartphone and 46% own a tablet. That means almost all of them are receiving your emails more than likely instantaneously and reading through them or saving them for later. So a couple other statistics. 42% of seniors have spent more time on a smartphone this year compared to last, which is a huge change, and 46% of seniors have spent more time on a tablet this year compared to last. What this really says is more and more seniors are getting smartphones, getting tablets, and less have those kind of little ugly flip phones, as AT&T and other companies don't even offer them anymore. So again, it's just talking to technology is forcing the seniors to kind of conform and be able to use the new age trends. What's really interesting is the video consumption online. 4 in 10 seniors actually now watch videos online, 71% of which comes from YouTube. What this really says is online and video has become one of the key parts of your website. You really need to have video snippets, video testimonials, easy to digest, engaging content. A lot of seniors and a lot of adult children don't want to read even a paragraph anymore. So the easiest way to engage them is possibly by infographic videos or explainer videos or video testimonials.
Or video tours.
Or video tours. That's a very good point, Amy. Yep. So 60% of online video watchers have actually taken action as a result. So really what this means is after watching the video, they're sharing the video, or they're clicking on the video, or they're actually visiting the campus. So it's really a big deal. We can actually measure the engagement of the content instead of them just getting a direct mail piece and reading it and you don't know what happens, or them going to your website, reading it, and you don't really know what happens. We can actually measure the engagement that's happening with our actual content.
All right. So we share all these statistics with you to try to convince you that the old statement of that seniors are not online and seniors are not using technology at the rate of all the other generations. So I think it's pretty evident that there's just an upward increase in all of the different devices and all the different technologies, and our senior population and our prospects and also their adult children are engaging in them. So we were kind of laughing when we came up with the name of this webinar of calling digital is the new traditional, and we really feel, and our point is the digital has become traditional. And one of the things that we look at the slide that we're looking at right now is looking at how people are actually spending their dollars. And you'll see back in 2014, we had mass media was still very high across the board. But we have seen that digital is taking over a good portion of the campaigns and money that is being spent on advertising. And as you can see, we just see that as more and more of an upward incline. And I think we can probably make this direct correlation into the prospects and targets that we work with. I think one of the things that we see in our media mix is very heavy, not as much mass media, but more digital, and a heavy amount of direct mail since we are looking to target. But we have the opportunities within our websites and our search campaigns to really be able to target these individuals when they're seeking us out versus direct mail or print advertising or even TV, which is a message that is being broadcast and you're speaking to your consumers rather than your consumers engaging in a conversation with you. So we really do believe that digital has become traditional and that it is no longer, the nice to have on your marketing plan. And one of the reasons why we actually feel that way is going on to the next slide is talking about how we have sustainable market presence. So I think everybody's very familiar when you run a print ad or you run a direct mail campaign, you see that immediate spike. And as soon as that ad is no longer in the newspaper or that direct mail piece has all been thrown away, we know that we always see those valleys. And one of the things that's really great about the online programs is that we have the ability to remain online during that entire time. Our pay-per-click ads, our search engine, even our website is in theory up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we know that that's especially important because in some instances, our business can be a very need-driven business. And people may be seeking us out when they have that specific need. It may not be when they received that direct mail in the package in the mail last week or saw that print ad that was in the Sunday paper. So having the ability to have that exposure, especially in a situation where people are seeking us out because of a specific need. And the internet and digital media allows us to be able to do that. One of the other areas, if we go to the next slide, is when we're looking at having that presence online the entire time, what are they doing? Greg was talking previously about how tablet adoption, smartphone adoption, and that people are not just sitting at a desktop. And one of the things that we have actually seen, and I know all of us have done this, in a recent when we've been watching TV and we may be on our tablets and we see a TV commercial and we go to our tablet and type in that address. That is a phenomenon that is recent. That is not something, we may have remembered that address and maybe gone back to our computers later, but having this whole idea of us engaging simultaneously with different mediums, and our customers are doing that as well. You'll see from this chart that 44% are simultaneously on a PC and watching TV at the same time. 23% are watching TV and on their phone. 7% are on their computer, have their phone next to their desk, and watching TV. So we also see sequentially that people are on their computers, watching TV, and then going to their phones. So those actions are all correlating with each other. I think everybody has probably done that at least once or twice in their life. I'll have to admit, last night I was watching TV on my computer and texting somebody. So
I just want to mention that mobile and tablet are becoming so prominent that actually Google has decided as of the 21st of this month, if you do not have a mobile presence or a mobile-friendly website, they will actually penalize your rankings. So this trend has become so important not only for seniors and adult children that Google is physically changing the way they serve up search as a result of what's happening with tablets and smartphones.
Right. Well, and that's probably because on mobile phones the abandon rate is so high.
That's absolutely right.
If it's not a mobile
friendly website.
And it's affecting their search results.
Absolutely.
They're not finding the search as credible, especially if they're doing it on a mobile device. So the next section, just the next slide, goes into kind of an integrated approach. So we definitely know that, and all of us know as marketers, that we have to have an integrated campaign for success. You know, we had talked a little bit about those spikes and valleys as it relates to direct marketing and advertising, and having that presence. And really this slide is just talking about how we're going to have to, you know, pull the levers on all of these different pieces, but really feel that, you know, the crux of the campaigns really are our online and our direct marketing efforts. That's where majority of the dollars need to be going to allow us to have those spikes, you know, that immediate lead generation, getting the phones to ring, and then with the online of having that constant online presence. So one of the other benefits, and if you're a client of ours, you've probably seen one of these fun maps, but I'll explain it just for the people who may not be familiar with them. This is a market area actually in Southern California, and the red area is actually where we are mailing for this specific client. And so that is their mailing area, and the little blue lines are actually the zip code breakdown. And then the green area, the green little call-outs are actually the leads that have been generated in those areas. So all of us who manage any type of direct marketing program know that we've got some challenges, especially when it comes to trying to manage within a defined budget of postage costs and printing costs. And so, of course, you can't mail to every single person, especially in a market like Los Angeles, that you may want to. And one of the things that we have noticed with online, especially with our search campaigns, our pay-per-click campaigns, and remarketing, is they actually expand the market area. And if we actually were going to take this map and actually blow it up to the entire country, you would see green dots all across the country. And so one of the things that we have noticed is we've been able to identify market areas that we may have not been targeting in direct mail, but are popping up because there may be certain migration to that area. We also may be able to identify some out-of-state markets if we're dealing with a destination-type community, and use online that way. So online really gives us an opportunity to test market areas that we may not be able to afford to do with direct mail or even mass communications like print. Allow us to test it, really see the validity of it. Maybe it's something we mail to. Marketing on the move type of events is a very good example of being able to test whether or not that market would convert for your community. So the long story short here is that online allows us to be able to expand our PMA.
For a very cost-effective, you know. Well, I also wanted to add, exercises like this have actually helped us also potentially remove market areas that we want to test. We've been able to test them with online, see that they're not working, and then kind of get rid of them. And the same thing with direct mail. This type of experiment shows us that not only direct mail isn't performing, but online doesn't perform in those areas. So we can say, hey, we can actually save some dollars now as well.
Great.
So let's take a few minutes to talk about adult children and how they behave online. We talked a lot about seniors, but we know that a large portion of who's actually going online is adult children. So adult children find all their information online for the most part at this point. I know a lot of you, and we have tried to do the adult child direct mail campaign, and we've had some success with them, and we've had limited success with others, but the one thing that's always been consistent is online has always been a good place to find adult children and kind of get them to buy into your product. So 59% of adult children say that an online resource has been helpful to their ability to provide care and support for their parent. When we talk about that, we talk about not only looking for information potentially about a retirement community, but also looking up different information about ailments that their parents might have and looking for counseling from others. You know, 9 out of 10 adult children actually use the internet. That is a staggering amount, and that amount I can guarantee you at some point is going to go to about 10 to 10. When we talk about adult children too, don't forget we're also including adult grandchildren. We've recently done a study where we found that adult grandchildren actually make up a large portion of the adult children looking online, but they're much less likely to convert. More than likely because what they're doing is they're going online, printing the information, and physically giving it to their parents or to their grandparents. So how are adult children converting online? What we did was we actually queried our entire database of leads, which was, I think, over 100. Will convert via SEO, 17% via online tactics, 11% direct website visits, and then 17% as a result of PPC. Really, it's quite a staggering figure, to be honest with you. I mean, really, we're talking about making up more than 75% of the inquiries via SEO and PPC. We got to always remember the importance now of search marketing and directories. Caring.com, Place for Mom, Yelp, and all those directories where you can physically leave a review have become crucially important to our business. As you guys know, an unhappy prospect is always going to go online and leave a negative review, but a happy prospect is never going to say a word. So really, what's become important is managing your online brand, but also potentially using Facebook to become your sounding board. If you have an active and vibrant Facebook presence, more than likely these unhappy people will go to Facebook, say something on your wall, and at that point it can actually be alleviated. It can be removed, or it could be talked about immediately right there. This is just kind of an example of some social media and forum sites that we recommend. You know, Caring.com, Place for Mom, Aging Care, Caregiving. There's hundreds and hundreds of these. A lot of these can actually be really great lead generating tactics as well from adult children. Now, social media is the fastest growing social network. It's the fastest growing segment among boomers. And as we know, boomers, in reality, a portion of them are our prospects. So, again, we go back to having a sustainable presence via Facebook, talking about their problems via Facebook, potentially alleviating some of the pain points that they may not have even thought about. One of the interesting things about adult children is we found out that if an adult child is also a caregiver, they have a higher propensity of not taking a promotion at work because of the added stress. Well, how come we're not talking to adult children about the added stress that they may be taking on and how to manage with that when they're taking care of an older adult? So this brings us kind of to the last portion of our presentation, which is, you know, what are we doing? What are we doing internally? How are we addressing some of these problems? And what do you kind of need to start really thinking about? One of the big things that we started doing is click heat maps. Click heat maps essentially talk to us about where are people actually clicking on the websites. This has become a standard of ours. We apply this to every single one of our websites, and we try to figure out exactly where are people clicking, what are they clicking on, where are they going from certain pages. But what's become more important is, well, what aren't they doing on those pages that we want them to be doing? So that's where the movement map comes into place. What a movement map is it specifically talks about where people actually moved and hovered their mouse on the actual physical pages. And what this shows me is a lot of people hover over healthcare, but they actually never click on it. so maybe they don't understand the terminology. A lot more people hover over lifestyle than our community. It really speaks to what are people hovering over before they're clicking. I know that the most popular page on my sites is, you know, the dining and the floor plans and the photo gallery, but that happens to be under our community. Are people looking for it under lifestyle? Should we be merging these sections together? And analyzing and understanding how the website's working and what people are doing on the website is really helping us create better, more meaningful experiences for these prospects and adult children. We have also started implementing what we call user polls, which essentially is after someone fills out an inquiry on the website, a little box pops up, and we can ask them kind of any question that we'd like. So in this case, we asked them, did you find the information you were looking for? And a lot of people said yes, a lot of people said no, some people said we want pricing, and then some people even said which 7 residents are still available. What this allows us to do is create more effective websites to try to get a better understanding of exactly what the prospect is looking for, the adult child is looking for, without us actually having many touch points with them. One of the crucial opportunities that we lose is once someone's in the funnel, we're not going to ask them, hey, what didn't you find on our website? This allows us to kind of ask them these questions via user poll simply and elegantly. We've also started really merging online and offline. We have this great module called My Brochure, which essentially allows a prospect or an adult child to go onto the website and create a fully functional brochure on the fly, then email it to someone or print it out for a loved one. My Brochure works great for adult grandchildren because you know that they're going to be data dumping. They're going to be printing out your website pages anyway. So if you implement My Brochure or something to this tune like a brochure on the website, you can control what they're printing and physically handing over to another party. Drip email campaigns have become kind of crucial. When we talk about patient journeys or prospect journeys in terms of where they are in the conversion funnel, it's very important to kind of hyper-segment what emails everybody is getting and what times they're getting it. The best way that I can explain a drip email campaign is kind of if you go to an e-commerce site and you add something to your cart and 24 hours after that you get an email saying, hey, why don't you buy this? And then a couple days after that you get another reminder email. This is a very simple version of a drip email campaign. What we recommend is a more complicated version based on how the prospects interact with the emails as well as the site as well as what they're potentially watching or not opening and not watching. So I'm going to hand it back to Matt at this point. That kind of concludes our seminar, and we'll give you folks you know, an opportunity to ask some questions that we'd be more than happy to answer.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, if you have any questions at all, feel free to put them into the questions window. We've got some time so we can get into a couple of them here. I've got a couple that I can start with, and then if anybody has any additional ones, feel free to put them in. I had a really quick question about the source on slide number 13, which was the social media update. That's from a recent Pew social media study, and on our blog, once we post the recording and the slides, I will post the URL for that webinar, or for that source as well, just so that you have it on hand. The first question that we have is, I believe, directed at Greg. So, Greg, what do you think the biggest digital trends in 2016 will be, and what should senior living marketers pay particular attention to moving forward, specifically from a digital perspective?
It's always important to look at e-commerce trends when we talk about digital trends. E-commerce is almost always the pioneer in new technology, and whatever they're doing kind of always becomes the new standard. One of the new products, for example, that Amazon released is this little button that they'll ship to you. So if you always order Tide, as an example, they'll ship you a button, and if you press the button, it'll automatically order Tide for you on the Amazon account. Trends like this are going to be getting more and more dominant. Ease of getting a product, ease of getting information, and how that information is kind of delivered is really what we need to be looking out for. Me personally, when I look for new trends or new ways to engage our prospects, the very first source that I actually turn to is e-commerce websites and e-commerce blogs, because they're always on the forefront.
Great. This next question, I believe, is directed at Amy. As marketers plan on looking ahead to marketing to baby boomers specifically, how do you see marketers having to evolve to meet the needs of this demographic online specifically?
I think overall, as the baby boomers age into our target audience, the oldest baby boomer is, 70 years old, born in 1946. And so as we start to see them more and more into our target demographic, we're going to have to take into account all of the habits and media habits that they have today. We definitely know that they are going to be searching online, seeking information online. They are going to be engaging in online differently. One of the biggest difference generationally between baby boomers and the silent and World War II generation is who they seek for information. One of the things that we know with the World War II generation is that they have seen authority figures as a place to have high value. So while it could be pastors of the church, it could be their doctor. We know that boomers don't necessarily look at authority figures as very much in line with their formative years and how they grew up, of being the generation that actually defied the authority. So they look for more peer-to-peer. And we see this phenomenon happening very closely in the adult-child area right now when people are seeking out assisted living or medical services for their parent, where they're going to social media. They're looking for peer-to-peer evaluations, Yelp reviews, review sites. Those are going to be huge areas that boomers are going to be looking for, rather than necessarily going to their doctor and saying, what would you recommend? They'll be seeking that peer-to-peer point of view.
Awesome, thank you. We just got one through our questions, and I'll just read it, and whoever wants to kind of jump in can. They ask, browsers and impact on search. Do seniors use iOS? The seniors using iOS devices stay with Safari or move to Chrome? And if they're in Safari, does Google for search?
So that's a really interesting question. We have found that most, if not all of them, actually started switching to Chrome. That's become a trend in general across both iOS as well as Windows. And yes, a lot of them still do stay with Google. They will actually kind of by default go to Google and then do the search. With that said, the ones that are using Firefox, we've noticed that they've had a downward trend in Google use since Firefox switched their natural search engine to Yahoo, and we've seen an upward trend of Yahoo use. With that said, we're also still seeing a high propensity for seniors to use AOL as their default search engine. So even though they're using Chrome or a better web browser, they're actually going back to AOL because that's where their mail's housed, and they're doing their searches via AOL.
All right, and do you see print marketing and digital mail ever truly being phased out? Will we ever go 100% digital?
I know Greg and Fran would love for me to be able to say, yes, 100%, the print world will no longer exist. But I think they're always going to exist. One of the challenges that we have with direct mail is, the phenomenon around the do not mail registries. People are becoming more and more savvy and not wanting some of that personal information out, and so they are, limiting. So it's becoming more and more difficult to reach people via direct mail, and also the, validity of lists, and because information is changing so frequently, and we are a more transient culture than we ever have been in the past, that is becoming something of a challenge. I don't think it'll ever go away. I think mediums will change. Print advertising, newspapers, I think will, start to evolve more online. But I think will always be that. I think the printed word will always be around. I don't think it'll completely go away. But I think the bigger question is where will people be seeking for information? And I think where I will say, especially with the boomers as they age in and our product category does change, I think where people will be seeking information is more online, and print and direct mail may not be as an information seeking of a medium as it is today.
I also want to really remind everybody that we've seen a heavy trend in net new inquiries coming from online, where direct mail has really picked up the slack from a re-inquiry perspective. We've seen direct mail create tons and tons of touch points and become an integral piece of the actual sales process in terms of getting prospects back in the door.
Great point, Craig.
Great. And we just got one more in. Should facilities with 80 average age be focusing on equipping their business with Wi-Fi versus hardwire? Is that something seniors are looking for as an added amenity since they have such a high presence online now?
I think so. I think that definitely having the ability to have the wireless in the communities has gone on. I think there's a lot of, Greg and I actually just did an event at a community, and we actually did it was a social media event. We were actually having the residents put post reviews on Yelp. And it was funny because this community did have a wireless connection, but majority of the people that were actually coming to the event with their tablets and their laptops actually had never accessed the wireless connection, so it wasn't loaded onto their computer. So one of the things that I think is, and we didn't really go over it in this presentation, but in our research, while seniors are using all of these devices, one of the areas is they still, and this is probably the oldest of the group, and I'm talking 85 plus in these instances, they still really don't know what they're doing with them. Mm-hmm. There still needs to be some level of education. So I think if you're going to have wireless in your community, while it will be great, adult children will love you, business people who come to see you in the community, unless you make an active educational campaign and really share with the residents and the people that are coming to your communities and your prospects, they're not going to know. We have one of our communities that's actually a Blue Sky that is as a part of their whole program. So like you would look for selections for your kitchen cabinets and all of that as upgrades, they actually are adding a technology upgrade to each of their residences. So, I definitely think it's the wave of the future. I definitely think in 10 years when we have baby boomers living in our communities, it will be a must. So it's just the trend of who's going to be our audience down the road. Mm-hmm. I think some of our customers that are living in our communities right now don't know what it is and don't know how to use it, but would appreciate access to it if they had it and were educated of the value.
And then we got one more that just came across. Have you used personal URLs or pearls as part of your integrated marketing strategies, and is it worth the investment?
We have, and we think it is if it's done properly and correctly. With that said, doing a personal URL, having the prospect actually go to that page, and the only piece of modified content on that page is their name, is not going to make a tremendous difference. If we're physically potentially modifying the template, modifying the information that we send out, modifying the copy as a result of hyper-segmentation, as well as the pictures, as a result of hyper-segmentation, then we're going to see a difference. This also needs to be coupled with an offline perspective, meaning if we're literally doing variable printing on the piece, we should be doing variable printing on the copy as well, so that not only is the piece hyper-targeted to this potential prospect, so is the website they're going
Great, and that looks like the last question that we have, so we can wrap it up for today. I wanted to thank Greg and Amy for a great presentation. Keep an eye on your inboxes for information about our Q2 webinar, which will be looking at covering Salesforce and senior living. And we'll do more of these, obviously, throughout the year. So we wanted to say thank you very much for attending, and we hope to see you again very soon.